All right, we are live. Happy last day of June, everybody. Tomorrow is July. It's exciting, or some of you probably today is July already. Happy summer. All right, so I don't know if you guys had a meeting last week. I know Nate and I were at Twin Cities Drupal Camp, and I think Wes was out of town as well, so there wasn't anyone to run the video. But maybe you guys chatted in Gitter or something instead. Okay, well, let's just do a couple updates then. As usual, we have Calabox beta available for local backdrop development. If you want to give that a try, you can download it from calabox.io. It has Drush support in integration with Pantheon, so if you're using Pantheon, that makes life look pretty easy. If you want to try Drush and Backdrop, that's a good way to do it. If you want to make a donation to the Backdrop project, you can contribute on our website at the contribute page /contribute on backdropcms.org, and we'll give a thank you hoodie for a donation of $50 or more and a thank you t-shirt for $25. We also have free PHP Storm licenses for Backdrop Contrib developers. That means you need to be a member of the Contrib group and have your profile set to public so that the PHP Storm folks can check that list to make sure we're not giving them out higgledy-piggledy. But if you want one, send us an email to info@backdropcms.org and we can get you all set up. I don't think we have any announcements from the PMC, but if anyone else has anything, looks like no. Okay. And then I want to turn it over to Gregory for updates on community growth.
Right, so community growth. We have 285 total projects on the official website. That's 10 more than the last meeting. 198 projects with official releases. That's 13 more than the last meeting. 293 releases on backdropcms.org in total, which is 15 since last meeting, 15 more. 54 total backdrop contrib authors with one new, and we have 13 applications pending. 24 organization profiles with one more than last meeting, and 286 total users, which is 13 more since last meeting. And that's pretty much it.
Yay, I want to say welcome to Lauren, who's our new contributor. He's been super active. He's posted a couple modules already, and he's working on the Civi CRM integration, which is fantastic. We're really happy to have you joining our team. Okay, I'm next on the agenda, so I'll just keep rolling. Okay, so next item on the agenda is infrastructure tasks. There's some interesting things going on, but I think that a lot of it is pretty similar. Okay, so the first item on our infrastructure list is testing infrastructure updates. Gore is here as well. So I have been feeling that ZenCI has been pretty stable, and we've been running it for 3 or 4 weeks now. And we have been fixing some more random failures. We knocked out another random failure in the latest release regarding JSON encoding. So that's been nice. It's also reduced a lot of random failures that we saw in a lot of different tests. So that's been really nice. But I've been feeling that we could kick off Travis CI at this point, like turn it off. I'm not sure if anybody has a strong preference for Travis CI results over ZenCI, but ZenCI is consistently just like, it runs just so much faster than Travis does. Like Travis CI can't even finish a third of the tests, like with their splitting, by the time that ZenCI finishes running the whole thing. So, Gord, do you have any thoughts on that? Do you have a preference?
Guys, sorry, my connection is really bad and I will interrupt. That's why I couldn't explain. Coming very soon. That's a short update.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't actually catch that because you're right that your audio cut out. If you could type it in the chat, then we'll repeat it for the video. Jen says that the email notifications are useful. That when the tests fail, that she likes those. Can we add those to ZenCI? I know that they're not there right now. Okay, yeah, I was trying to say that, but connection is bad. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think that doesn't even have to come from ZenCI, but if it like posted a comment that said it failed, like I would get the comment email notification, that would probably be enough. So there's definitely a way we can work out something.
Okay.
Updates coming this week. All right, maybe I'll just wait and see what the updates include, and then after that we can ditch Travis if you want.
Okay, so we'll leave it on for a little while longer. Okay. All right, sounds good to me. I am really still excited about ZenCI and the progress that we've made. Like, it is just really nice to be so flippin' fast. Although I have found that, like, sometimes we're running on Google Compute Engine, which ironically is also what Travis is using, but is the reason why we had to move off of it. Funny the way things work, I suppose. But sometimes it'll restart right in the middle of the test, and it very intelligently starts up again. But I've seen it restart sometimes like 3 times on the same test, which of course there's nothing we can do about Google just deciding to randomly restart our servers. Apparently that's expected behavior that, I don't know, I guess that's how they prevent people from using it for long-running processes. But sometimes it's just real funny because it's only running for like 6 minutes and then it restarts. It's very strange. Oh, it's because preemptible instances is the most cheap one. Ah, okay. That makes sense. So somebody claims our resources and then we get kicked off. Wow. The world of cloud computing is so interesting. Okay, cool. So basically, status quo on testing infrastructure update. We may disable Travis in the near future. ZenCI has been performing really well. We're getting fewer random test failures than ever before. Yay, great. Okay, so Drush looks like we've had Drush for a long time. It's an extension that you throw in your Drush directory, and then it makes it so that Drush 8 works with 777, 888, and Backdrop. And we've got some updates here around a few commands. Jeff, you're marked for giving the update. Do you want to go ahead and do those?
Sure. So the big one is Drush up backdrop, and Jen's done some testing on that, and it was failing with different versions of wget. So Jen helped figure that out, and we got that going, I think. Certainly was at least giving access to Drush DL at that point, and now we're working out a little bit of some funny behavior with Drush up backdrop, but it should be stabilizing soon. So thanks for that, Jen, and helping those problems. And then a few weeks ago, moving into backdrop console, or B, Gore put in a bunch of work on that and moved it ahead by leaps and bounds, and it's kind of more feature complete than Drush now. So I don't know where we should focus our efforts. I'm fine with just going with both things and seeing what comes of both projects. It's kind of a little more freeing to work in that environment where it's starting from scratch and you can just kind of do what you want. But he's got, if you look at the README, he's got a bunch of commands working: updb, download, enable, disable, private module list, package module list, whatever that stands for, watchdog, show, site install. So it's working pretty beautifully. So if you're a developer and you want to speed up your development cycles, I'd say give that a shot, and I think that's working really well. I'm going to take a look at kind of forward porting some of those things right into Drush, and we'll see in the long term what plays out. Maybe there'll be both things, maybe there'll be one, but thanks, Gore, for that great work on that project.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I didn't hear it in the audio, so for people that are listening or watching, the project is just called B, the letter B as in backdrop. And you can get it from the backdrop contrib repository /B. Okay, cool. That's pretty neat. I'm totally in favor of having options. I do think that it's really important that we have Drush, especially for the Pantheon support side of things. But long term, yeah, we might communicate with them about using alternative tools. I'm not familiar with how or if Terminus integrates with all of the different command line tools that they have on Pantheon, because I know obviously they run multiple things because they use WordPress CLI for WordPress, Drush for Drupal, and Backdrop right now. It may be an option in the future just to have a completely separate CLI tool for Backdrop rather than needing to be dependent on Drush in the first place on Pantheon. Okay, awesome. All right, cool. Let's see. Next item on the agenda is the flagship website, backdropcms.org. Jen, do you want to do that?
Sure. So let's see. I have a local site up with Gore's GitHub stuff on it, but it's not working probably because it's a local site. So I was thinking about setting up a test site on our production server and doing some testing there, or maybe putting it on the API site. That might be a good place to start. I'm not sure what other things we're going to need to have on there, but we'll eventually need to have that login bakery solution somehow working with the API site. So I'll kind of brainstorm how we're going to get that up and tested. And then hopefully that will get sorted out soon. We're also working on getting a showcase built. And I started building out the content type and entering some content so we could get some examples up there for building views and stuff. If anybody else has any showcase sites with some beautiful screenshots you want to add, that would also be really helpful for getting those built. So go ahead and add those if you have them, and then we could also use some help with people building views and setting up layouts for those. We have completed designs now, which is great, and if we have someone that wants to work on front-end stuff for those, that would also be fantastic. So it's kind of all coming together slowly, but we could use help make it come together faster if anyone wants to work on that. We're also started building out the support section of the website. There are 2 new pieces that should be coming soon. The documentation section, which is looking fantastic. I took a look at some of those pages and was super impressed by all of the work that had gone into them already. We should figure out at what point you guys are comfortable going live with what's there, like how much review we need before we publish everything. So that's one thought, but no rush, just, you know. It looks I'm excited about it. Get it up. And then the other section we're going to put under support is our forums. We actually had the opportunity at Twin Cities Drupal Camp to kind of pick Michelle's brain a little bit about, because she was the one that did a lot of work on forums module. She was the maintainer for Advanced Forum, and I was like, if you had it to do all over again, and she was like, don't get me started. So I didn't get as much detail as I was hoping for, but at least I got a couple of pointers about things that we should, pitfalls to avoid sort of thing. So I'm hoping to look closer into that. I'm going to do a review of what was the name of the module we're supposed to, like Brain Forum or Smart Forum or something like that. I'm going to take a look at that too and see what it is about that everybody prefers over typical forums, and try and get those going shortly as well. So hopefully we'll get our support section fleshed out now that people are starting to need more support. There's also a whole bunch of stuff that's on our site now that needs updating. We want to get user statistics visible on each project page and for the main project itself. We want to get the modules, themes, and layouts pages finalized. We've got some better designs, and we need to have them implemented. We also have some pages like the Find Layouts page that doesn't have designs. We also need to do a little follow-up on the blog section, the news announcement list, the event listing. They all could use just kind of a little design review. If anyone has a design sensibility, kind of take a look at the page and say, it would look much better if you did X. we could use that. Those are just kind of inheriting all of our default styles. And then our service provider listing, so it would be great if we could add some filters onto that page so that people who are trying to find contractors or companies to do work for them on Backdrop could filter by a particular geographic location or an area of expertise. I think we've got all the fields there that we need. We just need to kind of add those bits and pieces into the views. So if anyone wants to play with views, that would be a great job. It shouldn't be too hard. Might need a little CSS as well. All right, so I think that's it for our website. It's always going to be a work in progress, and we could always use help. So if anybody only has a couple of minutes and wants to chip in, that might be a super easy place to make a pretty big difference. But other than that, I'd like to turn the meeting back over to Nate to talk about Backdrop itself. I think you're muted.
Hey, okay. So we didn't have a meeting last week, so we didn't get to yet announce that Backdrop 1.4.3 came out. That was released June 22nd, so 8 days ago. And that fixed some issues with the new layouts, but also fixed the JSON encoding problem that I mentioned earlier, and a couple of bugs in the UI and views and Watchdog and a couple other places. Backdrop 1.4.4 will be the next bug fix release that will be probably released as soon as we fix this Safari layout issue. So we fixed basically half of the layout problem. We fixed IE 9, 10, and 11 in most versions of Safari, but the latest version of Safari still has an issue. And so that's issue 1985, that the Flexbox layouts in Safari are behaving strangely. So we actually even had that. It was reported separately, but we even had it happen during our class, which was kind of embarrassing. So as soon as that is corrected, we will push out 1.4.4 and any other bug fixes that happen along the way as well. This is kind of related to the rich text editor stuff. But just now, I moved one of the issues, 1373, which is the images being deleted on cron jobs if you upload one into a block. I moved that into 1.4.4 as well. And what I'm going to do is just keep that issue bumping along, kind of like our check the queue for security releases, because if it's tagged for the next release, then I'll look at it more regularly, because I'm always checking the next bug fix release to see what things should be in the next bug fixed item. And so the sooner we can get that corrected, obviously the better, because that one's been plaguing us for a while.
It might be a good idea to add a section to our agenda for important bug fixes. And we can talk about issues like that as they come up.
Okay. Okay, sure. I mean, because we always have something like this Safari Flexbox issue, you know, and sure, and then the image is being deleted. Yeah, and then we can leave the next bug fix, or 1.5 things are just features. That sounds like a good idea. Okay. So let's see, that's it for the bugs that would be in that list. For 1.5.0, that's our next minor release. That will be coming out September 15th, which, is coming up. We've got, let's see, July is around the corner, and then we have August, and then half of September. So a month and a half gone, kind of moving forward with things. Oh, this is also important. When I released 1.4.3, I also split the development branches. So there's now a 1.4.x branch as well as a 1.x branch. And so anything that goes into the next bug fix release needs to go into the 1.4.x branch. And new features, of course, will always continue to go into the 1.x branch. And so that is important, that now development never really closed, but now we're actually in a place where as new features happen, we can merge them into the 1.x branch again, because it's been branched for the next release. Okay, let's see. So we've got 4 main items in here for the 1.5 release, the most important of which is the reference module, which is issue 1301. Mike is not currently here, but I checked in on this before the meeting. There hasn't been any work on the reference module in a week or two, which is concerning, but I'm hoping that we'll continue to see progress there. It's currently in the contrib repository. You can download it and use it on your Backdrop sites today under backdrop-contrib/reference. And as you encounter issues, please post to the project issue queue, and then as that contrib module matures, then we'll prepare it for merging into core, which primarily is figuring out an upgrade path for existing modules. Okay. All right, next item is a new front-end theme in core. That's issue 1361. Wes is not around here, but what he's been working on is that the theme itself is pretty much finished, but it doesn't have color module integration, and Wes is kind of putting his focus into improving and updating color module before he builds out the color module integration. And then that in turn led into kind of a theme settings overhaul. So, however, the admin theme itself is pretty much, or sorry, the front end theme is pretty much done. But it is pending a review. So anyone that is interested in doing a review, I could use help trying out the theme and weaseling out any bugs that might be in it. A design review would be a good idea as well. And so review is what's really necessary in that issue right now, 1361. Okay, let's see. Adding a new homepage layout. We want to just make it so that when you install Backdrop out of the box, that we add a new front page layout by default, and then we need to populate it with some blocks. It probably, well, most certainly will be a single column layout, and we will probably place a block on there for the latest content. We want to add a block of some kind that is a hero image or a slider or something. But that has been separated into a separate issue, 1152. So we can do the default homepage layout.
Page layout one, but I realized that without anything else on it, it was exactly the same thing we have now, just in a one-column layout, and that seemed a little weird. So I wasn't sure like what order you wanted to do those things in. Like if we should merge it's a front page layout and it's boring solution in first, or if we should add here's something fancy you can put on your home page, and then we should put it on the other one, or if you have any preference at all. I mean, they both have to get in and get together somehow.
Right. I don't have a preference. I would actually prefer that we merge in whatever we have as soon as possible.
Okay. So I have a local branch with the new homepage layout. I'll push up a pull request and let you take a look at that, but it's not very exciting. Okay.
Yeah, what we'll also want to do, I think, is because that will switch from using a hard-coded, that'll switch from using /node, right,
yeah,
to using a layout with a view on it, which probably will have a performance repercussion.
So we should do benchmarks.
So we should do benchmarks because people typically will benchmark directly the home page, Drupal 7 against Backdrop. And so the difference in performance there could be important. One thing that I've been thinking about doing by default, and I'm not sure if I don't think I filed an issue for this, but we'll probably want to do it for that front page block, is that for some reason the the classes that views puts on elements are really kind of expensive to generate, like all of the views odd, views even, views first, views last, and so unchecking that box for
maybe we should uncheck them
default
by
classes
default
can make a difference
for all views.
Right, and that's why I was thinking that we should make it for all core views for sure, and then potentially uncheck that checkbox by default.
Yeah.
Because
okay.
most
I'll look at that.
Those classes anymore anyway.
Also, we could put caching on that homepage view as well.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Although that could be
confusing.
Yeah, confusing for authenticated users. You know that if yeah, I feel ambivalent about that.
Okay. We'll see how bad it is first, and if that's necessary, it's an option. But
yeah,
hopefully it won't be that bad.
Okay.
So question, can I remove /node?
How
about I create an issue for 2.x?
Yeah, that's a good idea. I think
then we can think about it for a year or so.
Yeah, I think it would be great to be able to turn it off because /node is a mess. Like, it's always that like almost most people, at least in my experience, most people replace /node, but then they very rarely remove it, and so /node is like this weird backdoor into a really ugly version of your content on like almost every Drupal site, you know. Yeah, I think that even applies to Drupal.org. You can go to Drupal.org/node and you're like, what is this? Yeah. Yep, totally.
That's how you know it's a Drupal site. You go to /node and see what comes up.
Oh, jeez.
Okay. Do you want the checkbox to turn that off in the pull request that replaces it with another homepage? Okay. No. Another issue.
Yeah, that can be separate, yeah.
Okay. Can do.
Okay, and then the last item we got for 1.5 is improving the rich text editor, which is issue 1087. And so there's a whole bunch of various minor issues, not minor, necessarily minor, a bunch of sub-issues under that issue 1087. And for the most part, these items are unclaimed. So anyone that is interested in working in the rich text editor, take a look at those issues and just grab one or two. Yeah, because there's a lot of great ideas in there, but not a lot of recent progress on them. Okay, and there's a bunch of other issues for 1.5 that are tagged. You can get the list of them by visiting the GitHub tracker and then hitting the 1.5 milestone to see all of the items that we have in for 1.5. Okay, other items, we always are doing UX and DX improvements. You can find them by looking for square brackets UX, square brackets DX on GitHub. Those have been continuously going in. I know Gregory's been still working on some of our string consistencies for UX, which has been great. And that's all we've got for the next Meta release. Let's see, the next item on here, we started doing community outreach meetings that is kind of like marketing, but we're not calling it that. And we had a meeting a couple weeks ago, and I don't think there's been a second one. The last one was June 16th, it looks like. And the plan is, or the hope is that we would do one every other week, which would have been today. So I'm guessing the next one, if we can get coordinated, would be 2 weeks from now.
The 14th.
July 14th. Okay. Okay, let's see. News and announcements. Jen, your mic here is giving the update.
Oh, sure. I'm not muted anyway. Okay. It's always good to check. All right, so we're also getting a little behind on blog posts. I know we have one in the works. Nate's going to work on one that's announcing core committers, which will be great. We need to do one that will announce Backdrop 1.4 because we haven't done that yet. I don't know if that still needs to wait for the Safari issue or not because it'll go hand in hand with the newsletter. That'll hopefully drive a whole bunch of people to try Backdrop again, but we don't want them to try it on Safari and have it look broken. But we could do a Twin Cities Drupal Camp recap because we had we had a great session. We also had a really good training that was super interesting because the last time we did a training, the majority of people who were in it were developers who were just kind of curious about like what's the difference between Backdrop and Drupal. And at this last training, everybody in it was a decision maker. They were either somebody who was deciding whether their entire company should pursue Backdrop development, somebody who was trying to figure out if their department should move all of their existing sites onto Backdrop, which is a very different group of people. So rather than having developers, it was people who were empowered to make the decisions about which direction they should go with the software choice, which I think is really telling about like where we are in terms of timing. Is that before it was kind of too early where the only people who were curious are the coders, and now it's kind of it's time. People are having to make that decision, and so they're trying to get more educated and enable themselves to do it better. So I would love to write a blog post specifically about that. So if we don't, oh nice, and Nate also just posted there in the chat that this past week we crossed 300 reporting sites back for Backdrop, which is great. I think 2 weeks ago or something we were only at 245, so people are excited. They're giving it a shot. I think that's super, super exciting for us. So it is time. Tell all your friends, family, countrymen, all that good stuff. So yeah, Nate, do you think you're going to have a blog post ready for tomorrow, or do you want me to do the Twin Cities one?
Twin Cities one would be better.
Okay. And should we have somebody else write the blog post about 1.4?
What about 1.4? We already have one for 1.4.
Oh. Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm positive. I wrote it the day that it came out.
Huh. Okay. I'm going to remove that from our agenda. Alrighty then. And I think all that was probably about. Oh, that's because I put it in the newsletter section. The newsletter is what needs to go for Backdrop 1.4. That would explain why I'm confused. All right, so do we need to hold up the newsletter for the next minor bug fix release?
I don't think so. I mean, if we can't be holding up this stuff forever. We were holding up the newsletter for the push to Pantheon, and now 1.4 is on Pantheon, so I think that's that. Okay.
Well, how about we schedule the newsletter for tomorrow, and I will start today by working on that stupid Safari issue. And if we get it fixed, that's great, and if we don't, we'll send it anyway.
Okay, sounds great.
Yay. Getting it done. All right, so then after that, we're going to need another newsletter before the next release of Backdrop. I was thinking if we can get our support section on the website flushed out, if we can figure out what we're doing with the forum, even if it's just a super basic one to start, like one top-level forum that lets people communicate with each other, and publish our docs. That might be a great next newsletter. Deadlines make it happen. So should we set a deadline then? So if we can send out the newsletter for Backdrop 1.4 tomorrow, which is the first day of July, we could do the newsletter like August 1st or August 15th if you guys think we're going to need more than a month to get docs organized. Any thoughts on that? Okay. I'm going to put down August 1st, but if we need to push it, we'll have a little wiggle room. How's that sound? Oh, well, we'll try and figure out how to set up a forum then too. Okay, so Gregor's going to be on vacation for 3 weeks. Nate and I are going to be on vacation for 2 weeks. Anybody else going on vacation over the next month? Backdrop development is either going to come to a grinding halt or it's going to severely speed up because nobody has any real work to do anymore. So either way, that's exciting. Everybody enjoy your Backdrop vacations. All right. So today is Thursday. Every Thursday after this meeting, we do a little Backdrop sprint where we hang out in GitHub and talk about issues. We hang out in Gitter where you can chat real time. Some people are still in IRC, which is where we can chat freely with the Drupal community, because that's where most of the Drupal nerds are. And we have a Reddit, but hopefully that discussion will soon be moving to backdropcms.org. Upcoming events, we have a list of upcoming events on the Backdrop CMS website at the /events page. There's also an iCal feed there if you want to get it in your inbox. We are working on improving that event section so each event will have its own feed, so you don't have to get all the events if you only want to attend one of them. The Beginning Backdrop book came out. Guys, if you want to buy Beginning Backdrop, you can get it on A-Press. You can also get it on Amazon soon. I don't have the link for that. Nate's going to post it in the agenda, but that's definitely tweet-worthy. We should schedule that. So yeah, which is now 2 books out on Backdrop, so tell all your friends about that as well. That's super exciting. I think I'm going to buy one today. And that's it for the agenda. Does anyone have anything they are burning to talk about today that we have not yet mentioned?
I have one thing. I don't know if this is how much interest this is, but I've pretty much thoroughly debugged getting Backdrop running on Acquia Dev desktop.
That is worth a blog post.
All
Would
right.
you be interested in writing a blog post on backdropcms.org?
I wrote one already.
Oh. Yeah, I actually have a concern about that. Do you think that's a little weird? I mean, politically.
Maybe we should ask someone if that would be okay.
Yeah,
It is such a small change. Like you'll see in the blog post. So all you do is create a text file in a folder in Sites, and it's like, okay, fine, sets up the databases, puts things together. It all works.
Maybe if we called it Dev Desktop and not Acquia Dev Desktop.
Yeah, I would be fine tweeting that you wrote a blog post that is on some other website. Like
Did you put it on your site, Luke?
Yeah.
It's actually, look, I've been trying to figure out where to put it. So far, it's running on my local host. It's not visible to the world at the moment.
I don't know, Nate. I think that could be super useful to like the larger Backdrop community. I think we should run it by people at Acquia and see if it would be upsetting. And if it would, we can put it somewhere else. And if it is not, I think there's value in having it on our site.
Huh. Okay. Well, yeah, but let's ask first.
Yeah, let's just ask first. And I think like if they are concerned about the word Acquia appearing, we can call it Dev Desktop. I think that's probably fine. People in our community will know what we mean.
My next step is to see if it works if I try to upload it to Acquia Cloud Hosting.
Good luck.
I'm pretty sure it will.
Yeah, I'm also pretty sure it will, but yeah, interesting. Pantheon will support your Backdrop site if it doesn't work out for you. All right. Okay.
Somewhat related, I have a port of Jeff Geerling's Drupal VM, and that's just in my local repo. I was wondering if that maybe should live in Backdrop contrib. It's not a module, but could be useful to people.
Yeah, what do you think, Nate? I mean, I think anything could go in Backdrop contrib that belongs to the community. It's just the info file wouldn't tell it to show up on our website, right? So the contrib repository, I think, is safe, unless you have any feelings against that, Nate.
No.
No. Yeah, I think that's good. I would say like any community code, people should feel confident leaving that in the community repository. And only the info file is what triggers what shows up on our website. So as long as something that's not a module doesn't show up in the modules list. Oh, is Drush in the modules list?
Drush is, but you manually created a node for that.
Yeah, we could do the same thing for B too if that ends up being necessary. Okay. Interesting, they're both. Yeah, I don't know how. Maybe we should have a node of a different type, like a different project type, specifically for things that aren't modules, themes, or layouts, and then Drush and B and anything else that we think should be listed on the website would have a easier way of doing that.
Backdrop tools or Backdrop helpers or something like that.
Yeah. Okay. I'll think about that.
Yeah, we might.
Now
I
it's
mean, I
only
guess
one node.
we could move it into ops, right? That's where everything else is that is around Backdrop. That's not a module or project.
Yeah, but then other people can't collaborate on it as easily.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good reason for keeping it in contrib. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could also do some kind of we can change the packager as well. Like there's the in the backdropcms.org repository, there's the Borg GitHub module that does all of the packaging and stuff like that. If we wanted to accommodate for non-projects, then we could do that there somehow. Like instead of like requiring a .info file or doing something else, then we could figure out some kind of alternative. But I do think it's good that like just omitting the info file I don't think is a great idea, because then we might end up with, well, I don't know, that might be okay too. But I imagine right now every time you make a release of B or Drush, if you don't have a .info file, then you'll get a packaging error log saying, hey, I can't tell what kind of project this is, which is not great. But it will probably work anyway. I mean,
What
yeah, I
if
guess
we
it doesn't.
use
It
the
doesn't
like?
actually it doesn't actually make the package if it can't find a .info file.
You only have like a hidden flag in info file for some modules, like in installer. What if we had something like that, so we could include an info file, but you could say like secret equals true or something, and that wouldn't show up on the website. Or we could even use the type flag and say like this is of type other or something.
Right.
And then
Yep. Yeah, type other. That would be nice to have something explicit like that, even though you wouldn't need a .info file in Drush, of course, or B. Like it could be used just for the packager. Yeah, I like that idea of like type being equal to something else, type equals utility or something like that.
What does the packager do? What does it mean to make a package? Like they're still downloadable from GitHub.
yeah, so all it really does is unzip the current zip file, update the info file to include like the same information that got added on Drupal.org, like at the bottom of each info file with the version string and all of that, and then zip it back up.
Yeah, it also makes the release node on backdropcms.org so that it can say, this is the latest release. But the packager itself really just manipulates the .info files, which in the case of Drush or B is not really necessary because
Drush, B, and Backdrop VM, none of those have info files.
Yeah.
And they do have errors in the release queue on GitHub, but I don't think that affects anything on GitHub, just on Backdrop.
Yep. Yeah, and it doesn't actually. I mean, because you actually still even get like release zip files, the GitHub release zip files. So we're really not missing too much there, but I do think that probably affects backdropcms.org, that it probably points to. I'm not sure that it points to the latest release. I don't know. I need to go and check that.
I'm not sure there's a download on backdropcms.org for Drush.
Oh. Yeah, I'm not even sure it doesn't even look like it's listed actually.
Yeah, I don't think it's listed. There's a node for it, but I don't think it shows up in this view.
Yeah, there is a node. That's interesting. Yeah, and there's no download link. Yeah. Well, there you go.
The modules page that shows only things with releases.
Right. Yep.
So if there's no release for the Drush project, then it won't be on that module search.
It has a release, but not as far as the package manager is concerned, because the package managing fails.
Right.
Yeah, so maybe that's bolstering the argument for a separate view of backdrop helper things, backdrop tools or something.
Or if we just added if we add an info file that's type equals other, then it would package appropriately, create the release node on backdropcms.org, and then be visible in the module search page. That would at least solve our immediate problem. Then I think long-term figuring out how to organize these things would be good. Like, it isn't going to create a module node, so we do still have to do the random, manual creation of the original node, but yeah.
Yeah, maybe we can make I haven't looked at the packager script, but we could probably have it do some kind of taxonomy, something or other, and say, this is a module, this is a layout, this is an other or a tool or whatever. I don't know, but I'm not opposed to putting info files in there. That seems fine.
Well, why don't you try that today and see if it changes anything?
With type equals other?
Not just the info file by itself.
And can I currently put type equals other in there?
Yeah.
Okay.
It might throw a message that's like, I don't know what other means.
Yeah, it had to be type equals module for it to work.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. Gore also brought up an important item here, that there's some problem actually with the packager right now, that GitHub made a change to their something about their API, the way that packages are created on their side, that we had a problem that if you made a release, it wouldn't actually run the packager properly. And so Gore and I have been working to fix that. We should have put that in the agenda, actually, but we can talk about that next week in the event that it's not already corrected. That the plan is that Gore has updated his GitHub API, which uses the curl command line to actually retrieve the archives. The problem is right now is we're using backdrop HTTP request to get the archive, but it doesn't support HTTP 1.1, which is how GitHub is returning the archive. And so by switching to using curl in GitHub API, that will make it so that our packager can properly get the zip files from GitHub on the first try. Right now we're doing some terrible hack that we get the zip file once and then we throw it away, and then we get it a second time because the second time it works. So it's totally crazy. So we will update GitHub API on backdropcms.org, as well as project module on backdropcms.org to use it, and then that will, or actually just our Borg module. Does not anymore. We tested a few days ago. Okay, great. Okay, so anyway, that's important. Gore is that. I remember last I checked, it would do the download, but it wouldn't push back up using curl. Have you implemented the pushing via curl yet? There's a new issue. Okay. Okay. Well, I'll check back around on that, because that is important that we get the packager working again.
You should put that in the important bug fixes section of the agenda.
Yeah.
They gave it its own section. Maybe I'll put it in both sections. I'm talking about it twice next week.
Yeah, it's kind of infrastructure more than it is backdrop, so I think it's fine there.
All right. All right. Well, is there anything else? It sounds like we've got a lot of stuff to work on before we all go on vacation, or start working on other things while we're on vacation. But yeah, maybe we should take this packager issue offline and work on it in Gitter and the issue queue and see if we can get that sorted. I'll work on the CSS Safari issue, and I ran a couple more tests, Jeff, with the jar shop. I'll go check and see how they worked. Does anyone have anything else? Luke, I'll copy you on the email to folks at Acquia and see what they say about your blog post. We can figure out where to put it.
Okay, I mean, I'm going to upload it where you can see it. So why don't you take a look at it and then
Okay.
see if it seems as scary when you see it as
Okay.
you're imagining.
All right, sounds good. All right, well, thanks for coming, everybody. Sorry we didn't get a recording last week, but we will see you next week. Oh, wait. Are we going to see you next week?
We're not going to see anyone next week. We'll have to coordinate with Wes to run the call.
Nate and I won't be around next week. We'll either be on a plane or jet lagged in another country. I mean, it's theoretical. We could, in theory, possibly be here, but we're not going to plan on it. So we'll try and get Wes to run the meeting. If Wes isn't around, if anyone else is interested in running the meeting, we'll have the agenda ready ahead of time. So all you have to do is kind of read it. And you don't have to do everything that's on the agenda. If you just want to talk about infrastructure or whatever it is, you can definitely do that. If you're in charge of the meeting, you get to choose what to talk about. So that's exciting. Who wants to run a meeting? Okay, anyway, we'll figure it out. Thanks all for coming today, and we'll see you on the internet.